should you get the iPhone SE 2 in 2024? So the iPhone SE 2 came out back in 2020, which was 4 years ago, and it was a budget phone at the time of its release. So considering all this, you might believe that the iPhone SE 2 won't work well here in 2024, but surprisingly, it's probably one of the best phones that you can get right now, and that's primarily because of its low price and its high speeds. So let's start off with some of the specifications and the design of this iPhone. So first, we're going to start with the design, and this device has the same display as on the iPhone 6 with a 4.7-inch display from one corner to the other, and it still has an old home button, and this is probably one of my favorite features on the iPhone SE 2. And on the back, we still have the singular camera, and we also have the back glass, which doesn't support MagSafe, but it does still support wireless charging. You might also notice that this device uses the old iPhone 8 design, and this is the last iPhone, besides the iPhone SE 3, to ever have the home button. So let's now move on to the hardware of this iPhone. So this device has 3 different storage models. The one I have here is 64 gigabytes, but there's also the 128 and 256 gigabyte options. And as for the speeds, this iPhone has 3 gigabytes of RAM, and just for comparison, the current iPhone SE 3 has 4 gigabytes, and the latest iPhone 15 Pro has 8 gigabytes of RAM. And as for the processor, it has an A13 chip, and for comparison, the iPhone 15 Pro has the A17 Pro chip. So that's it for the hardware. Now let's talk about the display. So like I said earlier, the iPhone SE 2 has a 4.7-inch display, so that's all there is to cover for the speeds of the iPhone SE. Let's now talk about the display. So this iPhone has a 326 pixels per inch display, and the screen resolution is 1334 by 750. So the screen resolution isn't all that good, but like I said earlier, it has a 4.7-inch display, so the low screen resolution won't be that noticeable, which means that you won't have to worry about the display of the iPhone SE. Let's move on to the camera of the iPhone SE. So this device can take 4K 60 videos on the rear camera, as well as 12 megapixel photos, and the front camera can take 7 megapixel photos. Also, this iPhone really only has one camera on the back, which means that you can only take one-time zoom photos without doing digital zoom. So let's take a photo test on the iPhone SE. So here's what the photo looks like on the iPhone SE. The photos don't look that awful, but it's definitely the best that you can get on a $100 phone. Just for comparison, this is what a photo looks like on the iPhone 14 Pro. It doesn't compare to the iPhone SE camera, but that doesn't mean that the iPhone SE cannot take really good photos. So here's what video looks like on the iPhone SE 2. And let's try focusing on an object so you can see the details. And the camera doesn't look all that awful. And just for comparison, this is what the iPhone 14 Pro camera looks like. It does look a lot better than the iPhone SE 2. And also, keep in mind that the iPhone 14 Pro is already over a year old now. So that's it for the camera of the iPhone SE. Let's move on to the software support. So this iPhone still gets iOS 17 updates, and it will still get iOS 18. It's probably going to get at least a couple more years of software support, because most iPhones get between 6 to 7 years of software support after their release. So the last thing we need to cover for the specs of the iPhone SE 2 is the battery. So this iPhone has a 1821 mAh battery, which is not really that good, and the current iPhone SE 3 has a 2000 mAh battery. Now just for comparison, the iPhone 15 Pro right now has 3290 mAh, so the iPhone SE 2 is not going to get you a very good battery. I did also notice that the battery lasts less than my current iPhone 12 mini, which is one of the smallest phones that are still being sold today. Now that we've covered the specifications of the iPhone SE 2, let's talk about how much you'll be getting this device for and whether it's still worth buying. So on eBay, it costs about $100, and just for comparison, the iPhone SE 3 and the iPhone 12 mini, which are my best alternatives, cost $180. So if you're willing to spend more, I would go for one of these two devices. I will actually have reviews for them in the description in case you want to check these out. But overall, if you're worried about the camera and the battery of your iPhone, I would go for the iPhone 12 mini, because this device can take some really nice photos and videos, and the battery will last a bit longer. But if you care a lot about mobile gaming and you want a really fast iPhone, I would go for the iPhone SE 3 instead. But for the average person, I would go for the iPhone SE 2 because it is really affordable and it won't cost you that much at all. Now that's really all there is to cover for the iPhone SE 2 review. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and if you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and check out my channel to see more videos like this in the future.